probably we'll be having in today's session.
Yeah. Namaste. It's a happy occasion for us to join you all in this August forum. Teaching is definitely very close to our heart, and hence very, very happy to be a part of this forum today. And especially in this context, as Professor Ratish mentioned, stress becomes a very, very critical thing to understand and decode, given the kind of responsibilities that we handle as academic researchers and professors. Because the kind of expectations that are there on us in terms of, there are diverse kinds of expectations. Earlier, the understanding used to be that a professor's life is like aram se, just relaxed and so on. But now it is quite the opposite. A typical professor, a teaching or a research professor, has diverse kinds of responsibilities. So it's not just teaching. It is not just research. For example, this program itself is an indicator of that, right? Understanding intellectual property rights. Many might wonder, how is that relevant to a professor, to an academician? But now in this in this academic and research scenario, in the global scenario, for India to have a competitive edge, India is anyhow governed by the various intellectual property mechanisms available in the world. So it's very important as knowledge contributors for professors to own it up and get exposed to such diverse knowledge aspects. So that places a cognitive load, if we can say. So there are such diverse requirements that come up, which one might not expect when one signed up to be a professor. And then there are administrative loads, if we can say. A professor is expected to share in the administrative mechanisms of the university and college that one is part of. Then there is also, for example, student counseling. To be able to counsel students in their not just academic life, but also personal life, that's also a load that is imposed, or a responsibility that is imposed by the system. And over and above this, there are so many other loads, if you can say, responsibilities that are there. And not to mention the personal responsibilities in terms of family and so on. And hence it becomes very, very critical to be able to handle this diverse responsibilities without where a necessary stress has been induced.
And also we've seen that whenever there is a process of experimentation, the instrument that is used becomes very important for enhancing the efficiency and effectiveness of whatever is done. So yoga that way actually impacts that instrumentation, so that the outcome is effective, efficient, and then it's also useful for a larger cause.
Yeah. Otherwise, what happens? We heard from.
Excuse me, sir, Smriti ma'am and sir. Please go ahead. I have asked the VC's permission for his address to come at 10:45. So you can come to the session. Thank you.
Oh, sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, can I just interrupt for a moment? Just to give you a background of the participants. So we have participants. Most of them are substantial number of them are faculty members, but we also have research scholars. In fact, we also have persons from outside the domain. So we have someone from the Navy background. So you'll find that we have a diverse participation. So I just wanted to just wanted to brief you about that. Yeah, thank you. So you can continue, ma'am. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That helps. So this applies to diverse, people from diverse backgrounds. Because when we talk of responsibilities, we are in any domain. If we take now in the current scenario, lot of diverse responsibilities are expected of any individual, given any role. So that's where training, this one important aspect is health. When we look at physical health can be an obstacle in carrying out our responsibility.
Sir, sorry for the interruption, sir. I think Madhu sir has joined. Bhasti sir. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, Madhu sir. Sir, can you hear us, sir?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the program, sir.
Very good
Technology sometimes can be the villain over here. So I think we are sorry to the participants for that. Sir, may I request you to kindly proceed with the inaugural address and also formally inaugurate the program. And over to you, sir.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone. I'm sorry for the interruption. Professor M. Bhasi, distinguished persons, participants of this FDP program on technology management. A very good morning to all of you. So technology management is one of the very important areas of activity nowadays, especially when at the institutional level, institutions across the world are trying to institutionalize startups and many other technology-based initiatives. In our country, we have started this in institutions recently in a very big way. And it is very important to sensitize our faculty members and students about the technology management aspect. I'm sure our Center for Intellectual Property Rights has come forward with a program like this under the ATAL program at the right time in order to take these very important topics to all of our participants. Our Center for Intellectual Property Rights have been one of the pioneering centers in intellectual property, all aspects of intellectual property over the last few years. And this center is the right focal point in order to organize such a program. We have participants from various places. Unfortunately, we all could not meet in person at this point in time, but I'm sure this will be a very good experience for all the participants on this very important topic. All of us will have meaningful takeaway from all these discussions and debates and presentations as well from all the eminent people. I wish this program all the very best. Declare this program inaugurated formally. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for inaugurating the program.
I would like to.
Yeah, Vijita, can you continue?
I would like to request Dr. I.C. Ritesh, Assistant Professor IUCIPRS, to speak for that.
Yeah. Uh, Thank you, Vijita. So it's my duty to propose a vote of thanks for the inaugural function. So first of all, I would like to I'd like to thank Honorable Vice Chancellor, who has been the pillar of CUSAT and who has been supporting in all of our activities.
Sir, you are not audible. Yes, sir. Hello.
So, Madam Smriti, please take over. There is some technical issue with Dr. Radish. So we will limit that all have been thanked. Yes, thank you all for attending the inaugural program. Madam Smriti and Mr. Sri Adinarayanan, please, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We've been technologists for quite some time, and we do understand that things get challenging in the virtual world.
Yeah.
And then
and that too being computer.
Yeah, sorry, I think I lost my connection in between. Am I audible?
Radish sir, I have finished it. I have thanked everyone. Please,
Okay.
Smriti
Okay.
and Narayanan sir, take over.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So we were talking about different obstacles that we face and why this focusing on the inner dimension becomes important. So as since many of you are teachers and many of you are working professionals and researchers, maybe in the chat box, some of you can share the obstacles or challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis, either in your profession or whatever it is, you know.
So that it can be appropriately modulated for your benefit.
Benefit, yes.
Since we have limited time, we would like it to be of as much benefit to you as possible.
So on the chat box, you can just type out some challenges that you face in your profession.
So that we can address it. So wherein we can look at frameworks. So yoga generally has been looked at as physical practices, but we have co-taught a course in IIT Delhi on yogic neuroscience. Plus, we have been to more than 10 universities in the United States lecturing on yogic neuroscience. So we also research in this dimension, and bringing those benefits are very important. So one question that
one challenge that is posted is in terms of motivating slow learners, definitely, and getting the attention of students. What is a more personal thing that we go through as individuals? If you can share those challenges. One thing is motivating others, but personally, what we go through as a teacher or as a person in the Navy or as a researcher, what are the challenges that we face?
A lot of health problems.
Yeah. Spending a lot of time on systems now has health problems, definitely. Yes, so that is one challenge.
Yeah, by system, I assume it's computers
yes.
or laptops
Right.
or mobile phones.
So if some of you can quickly share some personal, some things that we face.
In multitasking.
Yes.
Yes. That's a very key challenge now, because whether we like it or not, we are supposed to multitask, especially as we grow up the ladder. When there is career progression, we are expected to multitask. So that's a challenge. Yes.
Yes. So if you look at it in terms of the challenges, all of us go through these. It's not like a rosy picture everywhere. Each of us in our own professions, in our own personal life, we go through these challenges in terms of money. Tyagi has posted in terms of work-life balance and difficulty in multitasking. So broadly, these challenges can be classified as challenges that we go through in the physical dimension in terms of the body, and challenges that we go through emotionally in terms of, say, for example, anger, or I get very, say, emotional about something, or sadness, a general feeling low,
or even an agitation,
or some kind of a mental disturbance
and depression.
And some people, when this becomes quite prolonged, then people get into things like depression. So at the emotional level also, these challenges we have. And the other challenges that many of you have mentioned here in terms of attention, multitasking, work-life balance, and then the motivating slow learners, all these are to do with cognitive challenges. Because, for example, as a researcher, you might be trying to focus all your energies to produce some results in your research, and then also publish a paper. So it means that it requires attention, memory, focus, and a clear-cut decision-making strategy, and also good writing skills.
And being able to project into the future to see these problems, are these worthwhile to work upon? What are the research areas that we need to identify to work upon?
And then you'll also have to have good interpersonal skills, because you need to collaborate with others. You need to have a good team work in your department. So that is also something that is can be challenging.
And there could be multiple viewpoints. There could be difference of opinions that emerge. What you say, others need not agree, and so on.
And then what happens is, even in teaching or in research or any kind of profession, you'll need to keep up the motivation until your effort comes to fruition. See, that's a very challenging thing for many people, because they take up something, initially, like an aramba sura, because you start off with something with a lot of energy.
Yeah.
But over a period of time, it fades away due to the various challenges that we face through the external environment. Internally also, we go through a journey, because of which it becomes very difficult to sustain that motivation until whatever we took up comes to fruition. Like, say, for example, getting a PhD, or publishing a paper, or getting a promotion in the department, or getting a funded project. So what happens is, until you get that project or until you get your PhD, you'll have to sustain your motivation. You'll have to balance everything at home, home front. You have to balance everything with your advisor and such things, right?
Even something as simple as attending and organizing this workshop, this seminar, that would have multiple obstacles. In fact, kudos to the organizers, because it's not an easy task.
Yes.
From ideation to deciding upon the means of organizing it, to attracting the funding, to putting together the program, and then ensuring that the technology seamlessly operates, and to making this live, and that too for a period of time, a few days. So you can imagine so much goes into a simple action that people just participate in. Even for the participants, you would have challenges in terms of, your family should accommodate this, your work schedule should accommodate this. Working from home, it may not be easy at all. Your children might run in. So many challenges. And that all can cause severe stress, right? That's where understanding these, and then putting together intelligent mechanisms to be able to handle this becomes very, very critical. In fact, that is the whole idea of yogic process. Okay.
So in fact, if you look at the classical yoga texts, which are based, in many of them are in Sanskrit, but however, we do have across, in fact, some of the Ayurvedic text, Siddha text also mention about these yogic frameworks, basically in terms of understanding the body and the mind and the cognitive processes. And there are three definitions become very relevant. One, which is in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, which talks about cessation of all thoughts is yoga. That is, cessation of all mental activity and modification is yoga. So that is one definition. We're giving the definition in English for everybody's benefit. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned that excellence is yoga.
Excellence in
work.
Action.
Yeah. Whatever work or action we take up, excellence in that, achieving excellence in that is yoga, right? And the third definition, which is also taken from the Bhagavad Gita, which talks about equanimity is yoga. Maintaining a certain mental balance, maintaining a certain harmony inside is yoga.
Mental calm. is yoga. So if we look at it, this addresses process, action, physical process, and emotional process. All these processes to be able to, everybody would like to have a peaceful life, right? Everybody would like to have a healthy life. So that's why we have termed this, the title of this program is Health and Happiness Through Yoga and Meditation. So everybody would like to be healthy. Oneself needs to be healthy, and also one's family members need to be healthy. Health and happiness, everyone would like happiness. But we typically see that, for example, till 10th standard, we see that students are encouraged to perform well, saying, hey, you finished 10th standard, then you are, it's a good life, you'll be happy. Then again, parents encourage students, finish your 12th standard. After that, that's it, you get into a good institution, good college, then that's it, it's a good life. Then comes college, and we know what happens, So college, teachers and parents encourage students, hey, perform well. You get into a good higher institution, or you get into a good job, then you are free. Then the game starts. It does not, the responsibilities explode. So we can imagine that through each phase of life, our responsibilities grow, and hence we start feeling, oh, if only I was free of this responsibility, I would be happy. But that's where understanding yoga in terms of excellence in work is yoga. Means our approach, our attitude to our work, to our actions, that also is very important to consider. And similarly, what is the main obstacle to our participation in the life process which gives us happiness? One of the critical obstacles is health, physical health. If we are, let's say, one of the challenges that is mentioned is attention. So for paying attention, if we decode it, one of the critical challenges is sleep. Many students would come into a lecture and sleep. Or people in responsible positions would go into a meeting and sleep. Now, sleep is not a problem if it is had at an appropriate dosage, at appropriate conditions. That is at night. But if it continues, you wake up in the morning and there's no energy. It's like a child. A child sleeps. When it wakes up in the morning, it wakes up. It's energetic. You cannot make it sleep unless it's come to a state where it is ready to take rest. What contributes to this process of being awake and alert so that one is attentive? What goes into one typical challenge for many professors is that students sleep in class, which is a challenge. Now, that could be due to lack of interest. That's a different scenario. We will address it later. But first scenario is physical, where the quality of their food, the quality of their nutrition, the quality of their activities, and the quality of the rest that they take impacts their participation, level of attention in class. And hence, that is a concern for teachers. And teachers, again, this is both introspective as well as being able to guide students better. So in both circumstances, this is helpful. The second aspect of attention is agitation, distracted mind, where it's so agitated, then one is not able to focus one's attention where one wishes to direct it. It can be likened to, for example, when we wish to switch on the tube light, or we wish to switch on the laptop, it comes up. When we wish to switch it off, it goes away. So this is an ideal usage of the instrument. Likewise, we wish for our mind and body to be such that when we wish to focus our attention, it should go there. When we don't wish for it, it should just stay put. This kind of a process, what is the underlying process? We'll also look at it.
In fact, when we talk about physical health, commonly we have seen that many people have the tendency to catch cold quite often, because of which their nostrils are blocked. And many people tend to have a heavy head because, in terms of a headache or some kind of a disturbance in the head, that is because of, again, a sinus block. And some people have the aspect of feeling very heavy after a meal, which makes them feel sleepy. Often what happens is all of us assume that after eating, it's nap time, whereas food is supposed to be invigorating, energizing. But now we see that food puts everybody to sleep, and hence always we are wary of having a session after lunch, because we are not sure who's going to be with the teacher and the students. We are not sure who's going to be awake after the lunch. So it means that there is something happening in the digestive system as well, which prevents a good health. So if you see the mechanisms there, and also what has happened is that over a period of time, because of continuous blockage in the sinuses, or continuous blockage in the entire system, or the digestive system, respiratory system, and things like that, the immunity of the body comes down very severely. And we see in today's times that one of the key aspects of improving health in this COVID situation is boosting the immunity of people. And what has happened is that the immunity cells, they think that, and many of these inputs are not through food or whatever it is, but it is often caused by stress, right? Or imagining certain things. And that affects the immunity in the body. Say, for example, your nose is blocked, right? And that is because of pollution, or we are a person who catches cold often, or whatever it is. So what happens is that the amount of oxygen that goes into the body, the quality of oxygen that goes into the body is drastically reduced, because of which the respiratory system is affected, the circulatory system is affected, and even the other aspects of digestion, everything is affected.
For example, the gut or the intestinal region, the stomach, has been called the second brain, which has more than 500 million neurons. Now the brain, the central nervous system, has more than 1 billion neurons. Okay. Now neurons are very important because they help in sensing mechanisms. They help regulate all of the intelligent processes that we call, that keeps us alive. No, there is a conflict between, now the brain takes up more than 20% of the oxygen resources, or the blood resources. That helps in our cognitive process, that helps in our paying attention, and so on. Now, let's say you put in heavy food that needs to be digested, but not provide sufficient oxygenated blood in terms of breathing, then the system is in stress, because now it requires more oxygen through the oxygenated blood to help digest the food that has been put in. And there is also, you also need to pay attention. So there is a conflict between the gut and the brain, the stomach and the brain, because where should the maximum blood flow to? This is a classic conflict that is introduced, which is an apparent conflict.
Yes, it happens internally, so we are not aware of it. All that we know is that once we put in food, we fall asleep. And what happens is that because of this lack of oxygen that we intake, then this becomes a problem. But the other physical ailment that we commonly notice is, especially with teachers, is to do with the occupational hazard, because we stand for a long time and teach, or we are, as a researcher, we might be working on the laptop for quite some time, and or we might be writing on the board for a long time. So it means that all the muscles in the arms and in the legs and the back, they start getting stressed a little bit. And hence, some kind of stretching practices become helpful. So there is something called Pavana Muktasana in the yogic system. So what we'll do is that we'll look at these 3 dimensions, and intermediately we'll introduce some practices. So now that we've looked at what are the challenges that we go through in the physical dimension, in terms of the muscles being stretched.
So one is the muscles. Just before that, just to give you a hint as to how these work, Smriti mentioned about the oxygen levels, which could be constricted because of the blockages in the nose. Just to illustrate it, just to do a quick experiment, because we are all researchers. A little experiment will show you the what is happening. I would suggest that you sit comfortably and close one nostril. Breathe in and breathe out gradually through one nostril, and then close another nostril. Breathe in and breathe out through the other nostril. If you do once, then you will understand the level of flow in each nostril. If somebody wishes to volunteer, you can mention which nostril is flowing freely. Left, L for left, R for right, B for both nostrils are flowing equally.
And if both are blocked, you can indicate accordingly.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So this is very interesting. So at the end of this session, again, you could repeat this experiment and see which nostril is flowing. You would be surprised to note that this keeps alternating throughout the body.
Throughout the time.
Throughout the day, which is very, very exciting. These are very exciting processes. A little bit of awareness into these can give, a different level of confidence with respect to our health. Very, what can be called a practical confidence, not theoretical. No. So you can imagine that when this is blocked, when it is severely blocked, it's going to restrict the flow of oxygen into the lungs and from the lungs into the blood, because the oxygenated blood is important for all the cellular processes. Cellular metabolism depends on oxygenated blood. When the oxygen flow is restricted, you can imagine the kind of consequences, which is mind-boggling, because this is such a fundamental process that when this is impacted, you have all the processes impacted. So there is cellular stress that is caused because of improper breathing, and which could be because of improper lifestyle. Let's say your nose blockage could be because of pollution, could be because of stress, could be because of diet. All of these factors. That's why a balanced lifestyle becomes a very important thing. So balanced food, rest, and activity. All these pave the way for a robust health.
As he was mentioning, what happens is that because of the oxygen levels and because of being in a position for a long time, these muscles get actually stressed, and because of that, our functioning becomes quite less efficient.
So, our effectiveness goes down.
Yeah. So what we'll do is that we'll look at some simple stretching practices right now before we go into the next dimension of yogic practices. So you can sit comfortably. If you're sitting on a chair, it's fine. You can just sit comfortably, and you can just observe what needs to be done.
So here, first, we are going to, just as we directed our awareness to the breathing, likewise, we are going to direct our awareness to the various parts of the body. The various parts of the body, when we direct our awareness, there is a process of conscious relaxation that is established. Okay, so you can sit comfortably, and it's always good to start with a smile. A smile sets the right inner environment, a pleasant inner environment. If you find it a little bit of a struggle to smile, you can look at my face, and you'll automatically get a smile. So a simple smile, and you would see immediately your heart blossoms. It's a beautiful mechanism. And hence, you don't need to hesitate to smile at all. Now, please relax. If you want, you can keep your eyes closed. However, it helps you to internalize your awareness. Now we are going to internalize our awareness and become aware systematically of various parts of the body. Become aware of your feet and slightly move your feet. You could bend your toes. You could rotate your...
you can bend your toes up and down like this.
Yeah, you could rotate your ankles.
Or you could bend your toes like this and bend your feet like this.
Ankles.
And then also rotate your ankles.
So that helps direct awareness to that region and helps in better blood circulation for the cells of those regions, for the tissues of that region. Now please become aware of your calf muscles. And if it is possible, slightly stretch and compress your calf muscles, if you're able to do that. So just slightly stretching and compressing the calf muscles. Now please become aware of your knees. You could stretch the legs in front of you and tighten and loosen the knees. If that is not possible, you could bend from the knee and then straighten the leg. So bend the leg and straighten the leg from the knee.
Just movement of the
Simple. Nothing. Now become aware of the lower part of the body, and you could stretch your legs in front of you and tighten the entire lower part of the body from the pelvic region down to the feet. Tighten it and then loosen it. A simple awareness that helps in blood circulation throughout that region. Now please become aware of your abdominal region. And there again, you can, if you have not had a heavy food, you can push your stomach in and, push it out. So slightly in and out to direct awareness to that region. Become aware of your lower back. If you wish to, you can bend from your waist so that your lower back is bent and then straighten it. So you can bend from your waist and then straighten it. That itself will direct the flow of blood and your awareness to that region so that it becomes relaxed. There's a calming and relaxing effect through this process. Become aware of your upper region, the upper torso, the upper back and chest. You could stretch such that your shoulders go back, your chest comes forward, and then the reverse process. Your shoulders come forward, your chest goes back. So this stretch helps direct our awareness to this region. And then become aware of your arms. Your arms, you could stretch your arms, compress make a fist. That will help direct the flow of blood there. And then bend your elbows. That will help stretch your arms. Become aware of your shoulders. With your shoulders, you could stretch, you could interlock your fingers and then stretch, likewise upwards. If you stretch, if you have a face, when you stretch like this, that means there is a lot of tension accumulated in this region. So that is useful to understand, because for example, working on a computer or a laptop, many might work like this and not realize that there is accumulation of stress here, which over a period of time leads to cervical spondylitis and such phenomena, or stiff neck. Instead, when you know, such practices helps you become aware that there is stress, so that you can, you know, that awareness itself leads you to actions that will help to mitigation of the problem. You can slightly bend sideways, thereby relaxing that region. And then become aware of your neck and face. If there is, you know, the muscles of the face are stretched, you could gently massage the region and you'll see an immediate relief. Because of a flow of blood, there is immediate, you know, energy in that region. You could also, if you want to, you can compress and relax. You could also look up and look down gently, very slowly. The key thing is internalizing your awareness.
So these stretches seem simple, but at the same time, they are so powerful because they help to release the tension that we have accumulated in these different joints over a period of time. So doing them, you know, consistently, say in the morning and in the evening, for even just a week time, it can significantly improve one's health, at least the feeling of health that we have about. See, often we feel it's not about severe illness, but we feel that, you know, we are not okay. We don't feel energetic. We don't feel that our you know, muscles are healthy. So this way, people of all ages can actually practice this. And then these simple stretches, just by sitting on a chair, or if you're able to sit on the floor, you can just stretch your leg, stretch your arms, then bend them sidewards and upwards, just rotate them, rotate the neck. These simple set of stretches. Basically, what happens is that because of the previous night's sleep, there is a certain lethargy and dullness which is created in the body.
Which is basically nothing but blood does not circulate freely.
Freely, yes. And what happens is that the pattern of diet that we follow in the previous night, or something that we have in the morning, everything impacts the way our muscles cooperate with us.
These are small accumulations.
Yes.
That's why it needs to. That's why this understanding becomes very useful. Now, you could please share in the chat window if you feel a difference, because we would have done, say, 2 minutes of simple stretches. Do you feel a difference? Is there a positive difference?
Yes.
And you would see we have not done anything big, right? Now, the understanding of yoga would be terrifying for many people. It would be like standing upside down. No, I don't want to do it. But this is yoga that helps you feel better connected. See, even better participation in this online meeting. Let's say this whole week, you'll need to participate in this program with full attention. You would need such processes which help you function effectively. Because otherwise, oh, that's a very good you know, observation. Now my right and left are at the same level. So you can see that's excellent observation. So you can see the practices might seem physical, but the effects are not just physical. They impact you know, obviously the digestive system, the circulatory system, the respiratory system, also the you know, skeletal-muscular system, endocrinal system, and so on. You know.
See, the endocrinal system is so important in terms of the emotions, because the hormones that are secreted, they play a very significant role in the way we experience life. See how each one experiences life, like the same circumstances we might go through. Like, for example, you know, the same kind of research somebody might be doing, but how each person experiences their PhD process, or how each person experiences their publication process, or their teaching and learning process, how they experience, largely depends on their state of the mind, state of their emotions. And the endocrine system plays a very important role in this whole thing. And
so to be able to regulate that, we will look at some critical practices.
And if you look at that in terms of, when the left nostril flows, it's connected to the right brain. And when the right nostril flows, it's connected to the left brain.
Or we can also look at it in terms of the nervous system, the nervous architecture. If you look at, you have the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous mechanisms, which activate different functions of the body,
Yes.
depending on the life experiences. For example, you would have heard of a fight or flight response, right? If you perceive a threat in your environment, what is going to happen? Let's understand this now, because this will help us decode our own life process as well as those of our students or our colleagues and what they are going through. So if you perceive a threat in your environment, then there is something called the sympathetic nervous response that is activated, which is a typical stress response. It's called the HPA axis. Since this is a technology forum, we are comfortably using such technical terms. Please don't worry about it if this is too much of a cognitive load. Anyhow, we will get to the practices. But since we also teach at a technical institution, we believe that a little bit of academic input and research becomes very important. It's not just about practices. Practices are okay, you can experience the benefit, but why and how does it work? That is the whole idea of research.
In fact, that's the whole idea of an engineering thing, because tinkering with it, basically getting into the mechanisms of how it works, tinkering with it, so that we get the outcomes that we want.
Yeah.
Right? So we want to have a healthy body, we want to have a happy mind. So basically, we have to tinker with it. Right?
So that is very, very critical, because the engineering mindset is there, technologist mindset is there, where let's say you have a mobile phone or a laptop. Typically, everyone would be a user of that instrument. But what do engineers do? If you are trained in computer science and engineering, then you would tinker with it. If you are an electronics engineer, you would tinker with it and make it function better. Like that, this body and mind, you can see that by understanding these dynamics, you can tinker with it and hence enhance your life experience. That is a typical yogic process, because it's not just a user experience, but it's more like a technologist's perspective.
So it's like, when you are into yogic practices, suppose, someday I feel down or something, I don't go looking for some external input to solve my problem. I go into the mechanism like an engineer, because we've been engineers. We go into the mechanisms of, okay, what caused that unhappiness? What went wrong in the either in the external environment or in my internal environment that created this issue? And is there any practice or is there something that can help to get away with this thing?
Yeah, set it right, to troubleshoot it.
Yeah. And if I feel that it's not a pattern, it's just a one-day thing, I'm comfortable with that. I'm not in an urgent need to actually solve the problem. It's okay, it's just one day, it's right. I'm unhappy one day, I'm okay with it. But if repeatedly this happens, then I apply my, in the sense, knowledge of yogic practices to solve the problem.
So it is not unlike what we did, for example, with technology. So Google Meet, those of us who are just users can get really frustrated with if something does not work. There can be a panic reaction. Oh, it's not working. What do I do? But those of us who understand the technology behind it, the science behind it, understand, okay, we get into a troubleshooting mode. We wear the troubleshooter's hat, so to speak, and then start seeing, okay, could this have gone wrong? The audio, it's muted, but someone is trying to speak. Now, for someone who's just a user, they may not understand, okay, what is meant by mute? I'm speaking. And you should be able to listen. But even something as simple as unmuting it is something that is to do with understanding. If one does not understand it, then the problems associated with that, if they manifest, one would not be in a position to troubleshoot it. And then a whole drama of blaming everybody, oh, this meeting is not working, what is happening? That can go on. That is a side story. But similarly, when our emotions go haywire, when our health is not what we expect it to be. There are steps, reasonable steps that can be taken to troubleshoot the problem. That's an engineer's, that's a technologist, that's a scientist's perspective.
And in fact, whenever this stress happens, see what happens is that it's a natural instinct. Suppose we see a dog coming running towards us or something, we see another animal.
Or even if we are part of a stressful meeting.
Yeah. And then what we want to do is our immediate reaction is to run away from that situation. But what happens is, with respect to stress, is that there is actually no physical threat. There is no dog coming, there is no meeting happening or whatever it is. It's all happening mentally. We take that situation to be such a complicated situation that we start internalizing, and the body maps it to a threat, like a physical threat, like an animal coming. So it starts secreting the relevant or the appropriate or whatever mechanism is there in terms of neurotransmitters
and
hormones,
yeah.
and those antibodies and things like that.
And these are typical signaling mechanisms. These help. Neurotransmitters are fast signals through the cellular network, cells of the body. I'm not saying the outer cellular network. And hormones are a slightly slower, signaling mechanism. So these are to do with cellular communication, intercellular communication.
Say, for example, you are like sort of going to be part of a meeting, and then suddenly there is this Skype call ringtone coming inside your mobile phone. So what happens is that maybe it's part of a stressful activity. Right. It's a research meeting, or it's a meeting where you have to present your output.
Or where you have some deliverables,
or
some
you
deadlines.
Have to prove yourself in the meeting or whatever it is. Then it means there is a stress that is created. So the brain, immediately there are neurotransmitters which are signaling. And then what happens is that the HPA axis kicks in, where the adrenaline gland starts functioning. There is a lot of adrenaline which is pumped into the system.
Yeah.
And the system,
the cortisol levels go up,
yeah.
and so on. The HPA stands for the hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal axis. So, which is a typical, connection between the nervous system and the endocrine system, which help regulate your, emotions and your cognitive mechanisms.
And then what happens is that all these, the adrenaline, the cortisol levels, everything increases in the body. And normally what should happen is that once the threat is gone, the system should be restored back to its normal situation, right? But what happens is that because of chronic stress, because we keep undergoing this stress because of our own perception or our own emotional condition, the body does not come back to its normalcy. So an excess of all these hormones, an excess of all these neurotransmitters can be found in the system. And when you do relevant tests, it says the blood cortisol level is very high and whatever it is. And in fact, what happens is when the stress happens, the digestive system shuts down. Because the body is trying to conserve energy, digestive system is impacted. And the respiratory system goes for a toss, because what happens is that you will have to take in more oxygen to be able to manage the situation. It means that then more and more blood needs to be pumped in, all that the heart has to beat fast to do that. The lung capacity is changing over there. So the respiratory system and circulatory system is impacted. And what happens is that even in the kidney it is impacted, because what happens is that the blood flow is needed to manage the situation. So the water flow is needed to manage the situation. So where all it is possible to conserve blood and water, there it's trying to conserve. So it means that what we think as a simple stress can have far-reaching consequences.
And also the blood pressure, the pulse rate, the heart rate spikes up.
If we don't attend to it, then this can actually, so now, this is not alarming, this is not to scare everybody, right? But we do understand, as mature individuals, we do understand the circumstances under which we get stressed out, but we are not able to come out of it. We feel a compulsive need to be stressed out. We feel that, oh, there is no other solution. I have to be stressed out. I don't know what to do in these circumstances. So that is where, going a little bit inward, withdrawing a little bit inward, so that you're able to better handle such situations. Because the same situation, two people might be, looking at it completely differently. I might be, suppose I'm, say I have stage fear. Then speaking to you, I'll be very, very nervous sitting here. He might be a person who's just comfortably talking. It's the same circumstances. But my system works in a different way. So if you have to come to a harmony with this system, where your stress levels are normal, your immunity is balanced, and all this. Yogic practices can really help. And in that pranayama, which is called, the expansion of the breath or the regulation of the breath, that can really help in terms of intaking more oxygen into the system, bringing a certain calmness to the system so that you have a better handle over situations.
Yeah, so that the blood flow, and now all that was described as part of the stress mechanism, as we mentioned, HPA axis, is kicked in by the sympathetic nervous response. Now, what is called relaxation response is kicked in by the parasympathetic nervous response, which brings back to normalcy the digestive system. That is brought back to normalcy, where blood again starts flowing to the digestive system. The renal system, the kidneys start functioning normally. The breathing rate comes back to a normalcy. The heart rate comes back to a normalcy. All this normalcy is restored by the parasympathetic nervous response. Now, pranayama directly induces this parasympathetic nervous response by which all of these systems come back to a normal state. So that we can experience as a calm, relaxed, and expansive feeling where we feel good. We feel everything is going good. It shapes our perception.
And in fact, before we go into the practice, I just wanted to add one more thing, that many of us are talking about attention, and many of us are also talking about memory and multitasking for that matter. So we can see that in the yogic system, a lot of scientific studies are there which talk about how the breath is a very important aspect of the cognitive functions as well. So you would have seen that when you pay attention and you're doing something, and then after you complete the task, you tend to take a huge breath.
Yeah, in Tamil it's called.
You take a huge, you take a big, in breath, and then you exhale out of your mouth. So it means that for that period of time, you have been holding your breath. It means that to pay attention, the breath has to be regulated. That's our unconscious experience. So it means also that the frequency of the breath or the patterns of the breath impact the mind and your availability to the learning process, your availability to the research process, your availability to the teaching process, right? So,
and when that is impacted, you will also, there will be an unconscious mechanism that is kicked in to resist that participation, to resist that process. This is useful to understand.
And hence, looking at a few, one breathing technique.
Very simple breathing technique. You will actually, this is more like a workshop mode where we are conversing with you. For you to conduct simple experiments so that you are convinced. You see it as an intellectual process, a rigorous academic and scientific process. So let's try out a very simple, breathing practice here. So again, please let us start with a smile. So that is, a smile always is useful. I would in fact recommend that when you start meetings, please start with a smile. That everyone smiles at each other. That's a recognition of acknowledgement of human one to other. Where you just acknowledge each other's presence with a smile. It's like a good-natured, large-heartedness, good-heartedness. I recognize you as a human being and with a smile. So please be comfortable, relaxed in your posture. You could have your eyes open for the time being, and then we will take it forward. So as you are in a relaxed frame of mind, with a smile, you feel your heart is blossoming. It's a relaxation response. Initially, if it is difficult to smile, don't worry, please struggle to smile. But that itself will induce a smile. It will be like, oh, why am I struggling to smile? And then you gradually shift your attention to your breathing. As you become aware of your breathing, you start noticing various aspects of your breath. So we will conduct a very simple experiment. We are going to start a timer for a minute. You will have to observe your breathing and count the number of breaths that you take in 1 minute. So when I say start, please start counting. So in breath and out breath is 1 count. Please do not control the process. You don't need to. Just relax, normal. Whatever is there, you just go with that. It is just awareness of the breath where you are counting the number of breaths that you take. So in and out is 1 count. So let's prepare ourselves for the experiment. And when I say start, let's start. So please start now. Okay, please stop. In the chat window, if you're comfortable, you can mention the count. Wonderful. 11, 22, 16. Excellent. Please also observe how you feel. Also observe the quality of your breath. Was it shallow? Was it deep? Was it rhythmic? Was it arrhythmic? Do you feel good? There are various qualities of the breath that you can observe. Now, okay, so let's do a simple practice. And then again, we will reconduct this experiment. Now, the practice is very, very simple, just to illustrate to you how this is linked with your feel, with various processes in the body, how it affects it. Something as simple as the breath that we take all the time, but which has far-reaching impact in the quality of our life process. So here, what we are going to do is, we are going to breathe in 2 steps and going to breathe out in 2 steps. Okay? Smriti would count, and I would demonstrate by taking the breath and leaving out the breath.
1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2.
So if you have observed, I'm taking in breath in 2 steps, and there is a brief pause, and then breathing out in 2 steps, and there is a brief pause. Okay. So let's do this a few times to get a feel for it. Okay.
1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Okay. Now you would have gotten a feel for it. Now I'm going to add one more step to it, where while breathing out, we breathe out in 2 steps. In this, you'll have, as you breathe out, contract your or compress your stomach so that your breathing, your lungs are better emptied, so that your breathing in becomes deeper. The breathing in is positively affected by how well you are able to breathe out. Breathe out impacts the lungs. The lungs are compressed and air is expelled. So if that is effective, then you're breathing in, the quality of oxygen that goes in, or the quality of your breathing in goes up, significantly. So let's add this process. So breathing in 2 steps. While breathing out, we're going to compress your stomach slightly, because you would have had breakfast, so it should not be stressed. A slight pressure to the stomach, and you'd be able, the quality of breathing out would be enhanced. Okay.
1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2.
The third process that I'm going to add to this is, in 2 steps we are breathing in. When we breathe out, we are going to breathe out in 3 steps. And with each breathing out step, compressing the stomach slightly so that it's a complete expulsion of air that we experience. So that the breathing in
is automatic.
Yeah. So here, now we are going to breathe out in 3 steps, and breathing in is much deeper. Okay. So
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
now again we are going to start the timer for a minute, but you're going to do it in terms of breathing in is a deep inhalation, then a brief pause, and breathing out is a complete exhalation, compressing your stomach slowly. So a deep inhalation, a brief pause, and a slow, gradual exhalation by slightly pushing the stomach in. Okay? Please get relaxed. Please close your eyes. It's a mental count. When I say start, we can start. So please get ready and let's start now. Okay, please stop. Now some of you can share your counts. Excellent. 8. So from 22, it is 8. 5, 6. Wonderful. Wonderful. 6. So I wish to ask you one very pointed question. Now, you will have to connect with how you feel. Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel deeply calm, rested, as if you have had a full, sleep? What is your perception of time? Did you perceive that 1 minute had passed by like this
compared to the
previous time?
Did you feel that time passed?
Was quick or elongated? Quick. So this also means this impacts, as Priti was mentioning, this impacts cognitive dimensions, cognitive processes. Now,
so in fact, as it's seeming a situation that seemingly we want to run away from, right? Because it seems like it's going on forever.
Yeah, facing challenges.
Yeah. So it means that the simple modification of the breath can help
modulation,
us,
regulation of the breath.
Changes the perception of the situation, right?
So you can see the power of these. So these are yogic practices that you can utilize gainfully, both for personal purposes as well as with students in your classes for better attention. If you understand these underlying processes, then you can regulate the attentional processes of students. So not just being a subject matter expert, because subject matter expertise has to be there, but also these underlying processes helps us connect with our students better, helps us manage their attention in our classes better.
And in fact, there are some things that can be solved through verbal discussions, but many things we have to work at it at a more fundamental level, right? We often try to look at the symptoms and try to solve them, but maybe something more fundamental is problematic there in terms of how students perceive their life, or in terms of what purpose are they looking for towards through education, or what is the health condition that they are going through, their eating patterns. So maybe these yogic practices can help in a big way in terms of also enhancing the interpersonal relationship between a teacher and a student, because there is a more openness that is created, a more calmness that is created in receiving the knowledge that the teacher has to offer in the classroom. So maybe starting the session with simple stretches and then breathing practices can really open up the students to a larger thing of what you want to impress upon them as a teacher.
Yeah.
And in fact, beginning conferences with yogic sessions, because we've been in academia for a long time, and we know that conference, there is a lot of opportunities for people to interact with each other, gain from those experiences. But unfortunately, a lot is lost on other things which are part of the conferences, right? And then the essence of the conference can be lost because so much brain power is gone in other managing things or whatever.
Also because the cognitive load that is imposed, in ideation.
Correct.
A lot of ideas come quickly. We need to be able to manage those ideas better. Otherwise, we feel overwhelmed.
Yes.
And hence, most of the conference is lost.
Or we might get into a conflict because the ideas don't resonate with us. So we might get into an internal conflict with what the speaker is talking about.
Yeah.
That's why starting any event or anything with some kind of reflective practices, whichever is permissible within the system, right? That will really bring a certain openness and calmness in the interpersonal
because we get into a non-judgmental state, a non-reactive state, because most of the conflict, most of the relationship issues, most of stress is created by getting into that judgment, jumping to conclusions, reactive state, rather than responding to events, through proper reasoning. So these are some of the wide-ranging benefits that yogic practices give us. So this session was just to give you a glimpse into the powerful, power of these not just practices, but the framework of analysis by which this can be integrated into research, teaching, and so many things.
In fact, a couple of weeks back, we offered an online program on yogic cognition, which was mainly to do with cognitive processes in terms of attention, memory, perception, and decision making. So we'll also be making it available as an online MOOC course sometime. So if as teachers you're interested in that, I can pass it to Professor Ratish, and then maybe he can share that with you.
Yeah.
So that way, as teachers, we also get to better understand what is going on in the mind of a learner and a teacher, and how we can work towards enhancing that.
And meditation can be looked at as this being a black box. We are unconscious of the internal processes. Meditation is a process by which we direct our attention inwards, so that this is no longer a black box. That way, enhancing the quality of life process. So with this, I think we are towards the end of the session. If there are some quick questions, we can answer it, and then we will end the session.
I think participants can unmute and can pose the question directly to the resource person.
I don't have a question. I have a good compliment. The way you brought in the thought process, the reasoning into interventions which are possible was wonderful. Looking forward for your course, which you have just announced, which will be done online, to join it. And expecting to use many of the inputs that you give in my life to make my teaching and my students' life at campus better.
Yeah, so I think we don't have any further questions. So may I request Vijita to kindly propose a vote of thanks?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir and ma'am, for the excellent and enlightened session, which conveys beautifully how to balance our daily life amidst stressful chaos. Your class made very thoughtful by going inward in the ocean of breath, feeling relaxed physically and emotionally. Also, the simple practices you showed, which all of us can include in our daily routine, is very helpful to change our lifestyle accordingly. We are very blessed with this good start. Really, this session for all the participants. Thank you so much, sir and ma'am, once again from the bottom of our heart. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The program, the next program is the combined virtual inauguration, which is being done by the ATAL Academy. I have already shared the link to the email, so we'll be streaming it even from the Google Meet. So I'm just sharing the link. So you can click on this link and join right away. I'll be sharing my screen. So I've clicked on the link and I'm sharing my screen as well.